What's going on, everyone? My name is SiahZ and welcome back to the first Descendant video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys my absolute monster of a burst DPS build for Sharen. Now, a lot of people are sleeping on Sharen, thinking she's not really that good, kind of overlooking her because of her abilities and how squishy she can be at times, but I'm here to tell you that is absolutely wrong, and she's a must pick up character. We're able to hit upwards of 3 to 4 million damage with our Afterglow sniper on Colossuses, being able to instantly one-shot weak points or put them into a yellow state for an easy stun. We're able to hit upwards of a mil or more using our abilities as well, and also did I mention we're able to take full advantage of outposts and being able to go invis to get all that juicy infiltration bonus. I think you guys are really going to love Sharen, and I hope you guys enjoyed this build guide and try it out in the future. Alright, let's get straight into the video. So we're going to go over real quick like Sharen, how her playstyle works, some of her skills, and so on. So Sharen really excels when you go ahead and go in our camo. We're going to get more damage from going, basically doing our first shot for a skill out of camo, and we're going to basically be doing that every time the camo is off cooldown. Now, Sharen also has decent clear with her ult and her first ability, but she really doesn't excel in it. She can do decent clear, but she mainly is a single target burst DPS. She works pretty well in group play as well, being able to debuff bosses, get their defense and electric resist down, but mainly we're going to be going camo for that huge damage increase. So her first ability basically is just going to be an AoE cone in front of her. She swings basically a beam, like a sword, that is going to do damage, and it's decent. It does inflict electrocution, but it's okay at the start. Nothing insane, just a good skill to get people off, and it does really good damage. We can hit up to a mil with it currently with the way that I have my build set out. So again, it does decent damage to get enemies, but by no means is this going to be a bunny type skill to clear waves of enemies at a time. Next, we have the bread and butter of Sharen, which is her active camo. We're going to go into it. Enemies are going to stop targeting us besides Colossuses, and basically after active camo immediately ends, we go into ambush state. Now, ambush will immediately activate if we shoot from camo. It'll persist a little bit after camouflage, but what ambush does is it increases our damage by 100%, which is where all of our DPS is going to come from, how we're going to hit 3-4 million damage on a Colossus, one-shot weak parts, and so on. This is what we're going to be going into every single time it goes off. Cooldown, which is 20 seconds, and we want to have 100% uptime on this, like I said, every chance we get, because that's how we're going to get those huge burst DPS spikes. Our next one is her Shock Nuts, basically just an AoE stun. It's decent, but nothing really insane there. Our ultimate, like I said, is going to be her Add Clear if we want to kill Kingfishers, some early polies, get immunity balls off elites, so on. This is a really good skill to do that. Does really good damage, can hit up to 10 targets. It would be a really good single target skill. Only issue is it can only hit 3 daggers on one target, so nothing insane there. Maybe there'll be something later on that'll change that, but for right now it's just a really good add skill to clear enemies or get those immunity balls off elites. What her passive does basically is if we are in ambush state, which we get after active camo goes off, we can immediately reset active camo if we kill an enemy while we're in ambush state. So it's decent there, and then also we get 50% more outgoing damage when attacking non-targeted enemies. So basically an enemy that's not targeting us when we attack them, we'll get 50% more damage on anything we do, which is really good as well. But it does have a 45-second cooldown on that, so just got to keep that in mind. So like I said, her playstyle basically is just have uptime 100% as possible on ambush and our camo, go into it, get that really good damage increase on what our skills, weapon shots, AoE with our Q and our flash sword ultimate, just to go ahead and add clear, immunity balls off, so on, and basically shoot with our DPS to keep that damage uptime, and then with our general rounds, whatever weapon we have, and then go back in the camo to do the damage, and basically just keep repeating until the enemy is dead, which shouldn't take too long considering we're hitting millions of damage per hit. I do want to say real quick, if you guys are enjoying this build guide or find anything throughout the video useful, if you guys are considering that like and subscribe button, apparently that's the best way to support me. It really helps me out, and it really helps with the YouTube as well, and then that you guys like this to push it to new people that aren't familiar with the channel, and in turn supports me even more. Also, I have a community Discord as well. If you guys are interested in joining that, I'll have the link to that in the description. You guys can come there, ask me questions if you need to on the build, and so on. All right, let's get back to the video. Now we're going to go over to Descendant modules. Again, not fully optimized. I need to format her more. I need to go ahead and get like long distance or multi-maneuvering, mid-air maneuvering. Any of those you would want 100% replace Shock Punch, but they basically do the same thing. Will give us more mod capacity, which is really huge. We are running increased HP because, in my opinion, Sharen builds better with increased HP rather than shields, but if you want to have shields, you can, but I would recommend going HP. We are going Spear and Shield for that defense and skill power, mainly for defense to go ahead and keep our survivability up. then we are running emergency measures, which I need to upgrade a little bit more, but basically this gives us skill crit hit and skill crit damage. And Sharen really does scale well with critical hit damage and critical hit rate because she has a really good base crit rate on the character rather than other descendants. So you want to build her more crit rate and crit damage rather than skill power and modifier. Now we are going skill simplification for more skill modifier. This is really good. It's a really good mod, actually. Gives us a lot at 84.5% rather than running other mods. It's a really good single mod to slap on to get that huge skill power increase. Then we're running front lines for an insane amount of crit damage at 64%. More skill critical rate, can't hurt anyone. It's a multi-mod, which is really good. Then we go skill con and skill insight, basically for more crit rate and more crit damage. Now we're going to get into her Descendant Mods. First one here, we have Battlesea Melting Rounds. This is a must for any type of thing you're doing with any tanky enemies, any Colossus, Vibs, anything that requires you to actually put damage on an enemy for more than a few seconds. You want to use this. Basically what this does, it alters the way our shock nuts works. Instead of stunning an enemy, we're going to be getting a decrease on electric resist and defense down. Now the skill does only say electric resistance down, which a lot of people looked at this first and said, okay, she got nerfed, it's not defense down no more, but they kind of worded it and changed it weirdly. But if we actually put this on and look at the tooltip, it does say on the bottom right that defense decrease amount by 40% and electric resistance reduction by 40%. So it does both. It's still really good, and we're going to be using this 100% of the time, like I said, versus anyone that takes more than a few seconds of damage, any Vibs, any tanky enemies, elites, and so on. Now, a little tip with this though, you do not have to have the enemy inside the bubble. You don't have to have the weak point inside the bubble. As long as it touches the enemy, you should see under their health bar a little defense reduction icon, and that basically means that that whole enemy will have that defense decrease and that electric resistance reduction. So we can basically just shoot this on a Vib anywhere, look for that icon, and then we'll take full advantage of all that debuffs. Like I said, this is a must use for pretty much any tanky enemy that we encounter. Now, alternatively, you could do Release Cutting Force. This modifies R1, so instead of being in front of us, we will shoot it out like a what do you call it, an energy beam in front of us. We'll go through walls, terrain, pierce all enemies. This is a really good AoE augment. Like I said, she's not going to be a bunny, but she's still pretty decent for AoE. And you can kind of go in here and do that as well. But generally, Battlesea Melting Rounds and this type of setup is going to be your friend for everything. Now, like I said, I don't have her format fully, and I'm missing 3 mods. But if you did have her fully formatted, you would want to go emergency measures, level that all the way up. You would then want to leave a slot open for like toxic immunity, toxic antibodies, basically not like toxic, but you know, anything like that for a defense type. If you're going against Vibs, you can go ahead and throw on them corresponding immunity or antibody to get more resistance to it. And then you would want to run like Electric Master, focus on electric, maybe some more skill power or skill crit. And then this would basically be your full mod setup if you were able to run more mods than I currently have set up. Now we're going to get into what weapons we're running. We're running the Afterglow sword, and what you want to try to look on it is the firearm attack versus Colossus, the firearm crit damage increase, firearm attack increase, and then some type of flat LE mod on it is going to be the best stats you can possibly roll on it. And again, you're looking for gold. That's going to give you the most increase on those stats that you possibly can get. For the reason why we're running Afterglow though is because it has a very high base critical damage or critical rate at 50%, and it does have really good critical hit damage base at 2x, as well as a 1.8x weak point damage and a decently high firearm attack base at 114k. But mainly we're running it for that base 50% critical hit rate. Now, the unique effect about it basically is, and the reason why we're running it, is that when we hit a Colossus, we get 12.5% more critical rate. So basically right there, it's almost a 60% with no mods even added. We add our crit rate mods, we add this, we're up to like probably 60%, high 60%, it's close to 70% crit rate. It's absolutely amazing. Basically every 1 to 2 shots we crit, which is amazing to do on a sniper, considering we're hitting millions of damage per hit on it. We want to try to get that crit rate up as high as possible. The other cool thing about it basically is when we hit a weak point, we'll get 9% more weak point damage, and then we get 3% per stack on it as well, added to that weak point damage. So it's really good overall, but mainly we're doing it because of that crit rate is so high on it that we don't really need to invest too much on critical rate, rather than like doing other snipers where you have to invest on it. As for mods, we're going to be running strength per shot. This is a must on any sniper rifle. It's basically after reload, we get 200% more firearm attack to our first bullet out. It works perfect because we're able to go ahead, reload, go into our active camo, throw our melting rounds for that defense reduction, you know, go ahead and shoot, and we get all that bonus added, and that's how we're able to hit 3, 4, 5 million damage a hit on Vibs and enemies and so on. Then we're running rifling enhancement for more firearm attack. Same thing for action and reaction, more firearm attack. Running better con for that critical damage because our critical rate is so high, we don't have to focus too much on critical rate. Concentration priority again for that critical damage. Focus fire for weak point. This, when I was testing some other mobs to see if maybe just like 3.5% crit damage and 5% more crit rate would be better, but that 20% weak point, it seems like it's the best once we have all these other mods maxed out. And then I am running electric enhancement just for added electric attack, equal to our firearm attack, since it is so high. But you could go ahead and test, since they did fix the LE mods, you could do test maybe running electric enhance, electric gun barrel, flat electric like I have on the weapon. That might be better off than running like focus fire or some other mods. But this is the setup I have now, and this is how I'm able to really, you know, like a minute and 20 Colossus bosses, solo them, get millions of damage per hit. This is what I found to be working. Like I said, I will test, see if the electric one is better, and I am planning on making an updated build later down the line once I do get more for the build and I'm actually able to get every mod, form every slot, and so on. Now for these last two slots, if you were able to throw some stuff in here, you have, you know, your everything else upgraded, you just want to go ahead and throw some more crit mods. So for example, something like concentrate support ammo for 3.5% crit damage, maybe adventure for more critical damage and weak point, maybe even something else like edging shot for more critical hit rate, or something like that you would want to basically do. Anything for crit rate, crit damage, or firearm attack, those three for the last two mod slots will work perfectly in here. Now for our general rounds weapon, just to keep DPS up, we're running a thunder cage. You can run a tamer here, pretty much any general rounds weapon that you would like. Now my thunder cage is not built whatsoever because I've been doing and focusing everything on my sniper. So my thunder cage does have crit damage, firearm attack, bonus firearm attack versus Colossus, and firearm crit rate. Realistically, that firearm crit rate you would want to reroll to another flat LE damage added, and then get all those to purple or gold rarity, and that would give you the most DPS out of general weapons, at least for the thunder cage. And then I'm running concentration for crit damage, action reaction for more firearm attack, rifling enhancement for more firearm attack, concentration again for more crit damage, and then I'm just running an enhancement to get damage to match the weak element type to the VIB that I'm doing. But the reason why the thunder cage is so good though, and so many people use it, and why I'm using it, is because the firearm crit rate is 20% base. It's pretty good. Plus you have a 2x crit damage multi, which is really good. It's pretty high for SMGs, so that's the reason why you're running. You can really stack crit rate and crit damage, and you see a really good boost out of the thunder cage, as well as some firearm attack. Again, you would want to go ahead and farm this out and farm it more if you're possible. Throw more mods on to give you more critical damage and, you know, firearm attack and so on, but I currently do not. But I'm able to go ahead and still kill bosses really quickly, even with this poor general rounds thunder cage build. If you guys are trying to look for a better build though, there's plenty of them out there on YouTube. And if you guys really want me to build out and try some stuff with other weapons, please let me know in the comments section below what weapon you'd like to see me really try to test out and build. The last third weapon, I just have a random Nizra's Devotion here just for, you know, giggles. I wanted to see exactly how much a hand cannon could do, test it a little bit. I don't really have it upgraded at all, but it is still nice to get that negative 10% defense on Devotion hit, which is basically on hitting a weak point, and maybe some abilities, you know, you could throw out, do more damage. It's decent for some elites and stuff like that. But pretty much any third weapon here you could run. If you want to run a shotgun, you want to run a hand cannon, a launcher, you know, some type of task rifle, whatever you want here you can run. But the main two I would run is definitely Afterglow and Thunder Cage. Now that we talked about our weapons, our weapon mods, and the modules we're running for our Descendant, we're going to go ahead and talk about our reactors and external components. So Reactor, you definitely want to get a tingling mixture reactor. The reason for this is it's going to give us the most bang for our buck, going to give us the most skill power increase for our skills, and it synergizes really well because we want fusion electric, and we can get fusion electric on tingling mixture reactors to give more, more skill power boost ratios to our skills, like our cutoff beam, our flash short sword, all that stuff will get increased and give more damage. So this is perfect. Now, if you can get like an Afterglow sword mounting on it, because if we look and we throw it out, we have 160% more skill power. You could even do a Thunder Cage as well for mounting. Either Afterglow or Thunder Cage is what you want to try to get here. And then for stats, you're looking is either a critical hit rate or crit damage. Those two are really good, but ideally you would probably want critical damage and more skill power versus Colossus, or critical damage and like fusion or electric skill power boost ratio or modifiers or something like that, but still getting crit rate and crit damage is still really good as well. And again, you want to get those in gold to get the most increase on those stats as possible. Now for external components, I am missing a 2-piece set here. Realistically, you want a 2-piece decimator like I have set up here. This gives you 5.1% firearm crit, and then you would also want another 2-piece veteran set. And what the veteran set does is basically the same thing as decimator. It gives another 5.1% crit rate. Now the reason why you'd want 2 pieces of that combined, because you'll get 10.2% more critical firearm rate. That will allow us to take a crit mod off our firearm to get a more flat added firearm attack increase mod, crit damage mod, something like that, to get more damage rather than having to run a critical hit rate. And it's just really nice to get your crit rate up there to where you're almost critting every shot. It's just nice to see those numbers pop up. But as for what stats you want to run on them, you want to find a defense on all 4 of your external components. This is going to give you the most damage reduction. And then for substats, you want to try to look for like chill resist, electric resist, shock resist, not shock resist, but fire resist, toxic resist, something like that. It'd be ideally good to get 1 resist per external component, so having, you know, all elements at least once. This way you can get at least 3 to 4k resist per element. It makes you really tanky, plus defense on all of them will make you even more tanky. But realistically, like I said, 2-piece decimator, 2-piece veterans, tingling mixture reactor with Afterglow or Thunder Cage, and this would be the best in slot for your reactor and internal components that you could possibly get right now. Maybe later on farming out and maybe running like the Supernova set where your fusion skill power modifier goes up, and then on your electric skill attack you would have a chance of doing the Thunderbolt. That might be really good as well, but the firearm crit is kind of what we're going for right now with our sniper and active camo. We're not really going for a skill damage build with her, so that's why I'm running decimator and veterans. So we talked about our weapons, our weapon mods, our mods for our Descendant, our reactor and external components, as well as what stats to be looking forward to and looking for on all of those weapons and parts and gear. That's pretty much it for this build guide. I know it was long. I know I talked a lot throughout it, a lot of info. Sometimes I talk quick and over stuff, and I do apologize if I did that throughout this build video. But I hope you guys did enjoy it, and I hope you guys do have fun with the build. And if you guys do have any additional info that you think people should know about Sharen, maybe that I should know, or so on, please let us know in the comment section below. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night, depending when you're watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.